Do you suffer from motion sickness and are afraid to try some of the rides at Walt Disney World? Well, today on Walt Disney World Adults Only, we'll explore which rides are most often the culprits of motion sickness. Welcome, Your Royal Highnesses. I'm Carol. If you're already a member of our Walt Disney World Adults Only Facebook group, you know one of the most often asked questions is about which rides cause motion sickness. The answers come fast and furious, but they're all over the board, so it's really no help. Today we'll be examining the not-so-fun topic of motion sickness. What it is, does it affect everybody the same, and ways to compensate. Motion sickness happens when there's a conflict among your senses. Your eyes say one thing, your ears, muscles, and joints say something else. Now here's the dilemma. Just because you get sick on one ride doesn't mean you'll get sick on others, and just because someone else got sick on a ride doesn't mean that you'll get sick on that same ride. So let's see if we can narrow it down a little. More than you just doing trial and error. There are really three categories of rides that lead to motion sickness. We have spinning or circular rides. We have roller coaster and inversion rides, or rides that have drops. The third category would be 3D or simulator rides. The spinning and circular rides include things like Dumbo, the Carousel, Aladdin, Teacups, Astro Orbiters, and Alien Swirling Saucers. So if you feel queasy on the Carousel, I wouldn't attempt the others in this category. Drops and inversions include Rock and Roll Roller Coaster, Mount Everest, Space Mountain, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Barnstormer, Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, Tower of Terror, and Test Track. Drops may give you more of a feeling of weightlessness than nausea, and they're over pretty quickly, so your body can recover from those. 3D simulators would include things like Toy Story Mania, Star Tours, Smuggler's Run, Ride of Resistance, Soarin', Mission Space. What if you're determined to try one of these rides? After all, you are at Walt Disney World and you want to experience it all. Start in the easiest, slowest ride in each category. Save the ride for the end of the night, so if something does go wrong, your whole day isn't ruined. Don't try to ride two motion rides back to back. Try motion sickness remedies. Ginger candies are said to help. Avoid alcohol and fatty foods, but don't go on an empty stomach. Carbs work best, and you want to have a little something in your stomach but not overfull. Over-the-counter Dramamine or Bonine may help, and Benadryl can even help. You might try acupressure. C-bands are bands that you put around your wrist that have a little plastic thing that presses in the center of your wrist, causing an acupressure point to be stimulated. If those fail and you're still determined to ride a ride, you can get a prescription scopolamine patch from your doctor. Hopefully I've given you some tips to help you conquer those offending rides. Now let's hear from some of our team members who experience motion sickness and see what they do to compensate. Jackie, what about you? Does one type of ride affect you more than others?
Actually, yes, Carol. I do tend to get woozy on rides that have movement, projection, and simulators. Sometimes it's a combination of all three, and sometimes one will do it. In the spinning and circular movement type of rides, the teacups get me the worst. I've honestly not went on them since Disneyland back in 1996. And even then I got sick on an empty stomach. As I've gotten older, I've noticed that rides like Astro Orbiters and Prince Charming Carousel will actually get to me. Strange, right? I don't have much trouble with drops, but the inversions like on Rock and Roller Coaster will get to me. I actually haven't ridden Rock and Roller Coaster since maybe high school, and I usually don't plan on it in my entire vacation. Maybe on my upcoming trip, I'll try it with some Dramamine. For some reason, drops like Tower of Terror don't actually get to me. I'm the one that's giggling through the entire ride. However, its counterpart over in California, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, does get to me. Unfortunately, with that one, there's no pre-show like in Tower of Terror. You're just going up and down the entire ride. With that one, I got off and actually had to sit down for a bit. I don't know about you, Carol, and our lovely viewers at home, but the 3D and simulator rides will get me every single stinking time. Not full on sick, but darn tootin' miserable. At Hollywood Studios, Star Tours is the one that I'll probably only do once during my entire vacation. It doesn't make me totally sick, but it doesn't make me feel the best afterwards. I usually put that one more towards the end of the day. That way I'm not ruining an entire day if I do feel some of those adverse effects of the motion and 3D. I'm a big fat nope on Mission Space. I've heard of the orange side actually ruining guests' days. No, thank you. Epcot is way too cool to be feeling sick. I've, however, been on the green side, and it was just okay. One of the most popular rides at Animal Kingdom, Flight of Passage, is actually one that will make me feel quite miserable after riding. This is such a bummer because it's such a beautiful and immersive ride. I do, however, have one small remedy that helps to make my day a little better. I head over to Pongu Pongu and get a Night Blossom. After sipping on that, it actually takes away the queasiness of my stomach ache. So those are all the rides that make me feel woozy and a bit miserable. What about you, Courtney? Are there any rides there that'll make you want to toss your cookies?
Yes, Jackie, there is certainly one group of rides that are an absolute no-go from me. You can put me on any kind of ride, roller coaster, dips, loops, turns, I can do all of that. However, you put me in something that spins, and the answer is no. There are precisely 3 rides in Walt Disney World that are an absolute no-go from me. Technically 2, now that 1 isn't there anymore. The one that really doesn't count anymore is Primeval World that stood in Animal Kingdom. I am not sad to see that one go. The dips and the backwards and the sideways going down hills, I could do. But adding that element of spinning around while also in motion was an absolute no. After riding something like that, I would have a headache for hours. There is no Motrin, no Tylenol, nothing that would be able to kick it. The next ride that I absolutely will not, cannot ever do is the teacups. Even when I was young, I would go on the teacups and I would just get so woozy. Like the spinning in such a small confined space, it is not good for me. And my absolute biggest bugaboo is gonna be Mission Space. I know several people have issues with this ride, not only being in such a small confined space, but that centrifuge spinning does not bode well with my body. If I were to ride that, I will be sick for hours. Normally the spinning would only give me a headache. However, this ride, well, let's just be glad that they do have bags. Any ride that Disney introduces, as long as it does not involve spinning multiple times in a small space, I'm down for. I can do it no problem. However, if any aspect of that attraction does have spinning, unfortunately, I'll be waiting at the exit. Taylor, I know that you've mentioned that you also have problems with certain types of rides. Are they in the same category?
Yeah, Courtney, I do suffer from motion sickness sometimes. That's the thing that really sucks about it, is that I don't know when my motion sickness is gonna hit. Luckily, I do know that the 3D rides and simulators are the ones most likely to set it off. So Star Tours, I've come off of green a few too many times. I avoid it completely now. And Smuggler's Run is another that I have to be really careful on. If I'm an engineer or a gunner and I can concentrate on those buttons, I'm fine. But I was a pilot the first time I rode it, and if that ride had gone on 1 minute longer, it would not have been pretty in that cockpit. Mission Space, I haven't ridden that since I was a teenager. Absolutely not. And it stinks because I really enjoy these rides, but the hours of feeling ill afterward are just not worth the few minutes of fun. And then I found out, if I'm in Disney for an extended period of time with lots of riding, the longer into the trip I get, the more rides bother me. In 2019, at the end of a 10-day trip, I just got on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, not thinking anything of it. But that swinging motion was bad. And then it was only exacerbated by a go around on the carousel. I was queasy for hours on rides that never bothered me before. So even though 3D rides and simulators are the worst offenders, I have to be really careful on spinning and swinging rides too. Luckily, coasters and inversions and drops don't bother me yet. So what do I do for it? Every day, first thing in the morning, I take a Bo9, which is the only anti-nausea, anti-motion sickness medicine that doesn't turn me into a zombie and actually works throughout the whole day. Also, if I know I'm going to be going on rides that may bother me, I eat first. I know that may sound weird, but I feel much sicker on an empty stomach when I go on those rides. And lastly, a word of advice, not just for motion sickness, but for feeling good when you're in Disney overall, make sure to stay hydrated. This is so important, and that motion sickness is going to be so much worse if I'm dehydrated. I actually add one of those hydration multipliers once a day into my water bottle and help myself with those extra minerals and electrolytes. It helps with motion sickness, and it helps just keep you going through the long Disney days. Make sure to hydrate, everyone. Unfortunately, as I'm getting older, my motion sickness is getting worse. So I'm definitely going to take some of Carol's advice that she mentioned earlier in this video. Speaking of Carol, let's head back to her now. Does your motion sickness fall into a certain group?
Yes, Taylor, I'm between two categories, however. Spinning rides are a definite no-go, but I can do roller coaster rides and some simulator rides. Mission Space is a definite no-go for me, however. It just hits both buttons. Using C-bands and closing my eyes when I have to, I can pretty much do all the simulators except for Star Tours. Now, Flight of Passage, if it didn't have that rest stop in the middle, I might be in trouble. If it was 10 seconds longer, I think I'd be queasy. That rest stop allows me to reboot, so I'm okay. Everyone has different triggers when it comes to motion sickness. Hopefully, with us categorizing them into those three groups, you might be brave enough to try some of those rides you've been afraid to ride in the past.
Thank you so much for watching this video.
If you like our channel, make sure to subscribe.
If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up.
Share this video with your friends so you can help them plan the most magical vacation.
Hit that notification bell so you know when we drop new content.
The link to our Adults Only Facebook group is in the description below. Please join us there so we can continue this discussion and have many more.
And remember, never grow up.